Hey, how's it going? Want to do a video on lighting since I'm right in the thick of that on lighting these IKEA cabinets that are going to be built in and look great. So I don't have all the cabinets up. I have some of them up so you can kind of get a feel of what it's going to look like. So there's two types of lighting I'm doing. There are these IKEA lights they're pretty nice. They're aluminum housing, 28 volt, 2-watt LED lights. And what's going on is up in the attic area, I've got some outlets, and that's where I have the little transformers that power these. And both of these are just straight from IKEA. One's from IKEA, one's from Phillips Hue. They're not modified. I'm not like building a transformer to work with these. And this is basically what comes out of that transformer is this little extension cord. And in it, you can plug into, in this particular case, up to 6 of these lights. So what's going to happen is basically these lights will be mounted underneath the cabinets, and you can see a couple of them mounted right here. And they just provide a nice kind of almost halogen-like spotlight straight down on the countertops. So what I did upstairs is these lights run up to a little transformer. That transformer's in an outlet, and when I wired up the wall here, I made this switch control the outlet up there in the attic. So when you flip on the switch, you get these lights. It's a very simple system. Flip the light on. There you go. Now you've got these nice little spotlights. And then I've got another one over here, and they're going to be underneath all the cabinets. And that was great. The problem I didn't like about them is I'll show you here, it's a pretty harsh, bright light, which is great for kind of spotlighting because it's kind of a halogen looking light. But I said, what about just some background lighting, some nice calm lighting? So I went to something I love. I love these little Phillips Hue light strips. So these are the Phillips Hue light strips. I really like the Hue app for the iPhone. It can adjust the color and the temperature of the lighting. So you can get a whole bunch of colors and a whole bunch of temperatures out of the light. So you can get a warm light or a cold light or whatever you want. And this runs off a single transformer up in the attic. Again, that one's on a permanent on outlet. And then it runs via this lit accessories system of, these are just cables that act as extension cables. And then they also sell these cool little splitters. So these things take, for example, if you have one cable, you can run it, and now you can run 2 lights. You can split it again and run 4 lights, whatever you want to do. So you can see right here, I've got a cable coming from the little transformer unit upstairs, comes down to a splitter, and then it splits off for 2 sets of lights. And one of the little hacks that I've done is when you buy a strip of lights, you'll see that both ends, one end has an open outlet, one end has pins. Sorry, you can kind of see it better if I got it to focus. There we go. One end has pins, one end has an open outlet right there. They sell with this little kit, you get little connectors that you can actually run pins on both sides. Let me pull one of these off so you can see it. So this has pins on both sides. And the advantage there is that you can run electricity either direction through that connector. So you can run it either to the female side of the Phillips Hue or the male side of the Phillips Hue. You just need to make sure that your cable order is reversed when you're running it backwards. So that's what I did a lot of these. I've taken those 3-foot Hue or 3-strip Hue lights and I've cut them up. So I'm using the one end and the other end. The middle is kind of trash. And I'm able to run the power either direction using that. All you got to do is, if it's not running, you unplug it, flip it around, and suddenly the light will start working. So those are really nice because, let me turn the lights off. It gives you this really nice warm downlight. And the other thing I really like about it is at no point can you actually see the fixture. It's actually tucked up under there, under this little soffit. So, I mean, unless you're going to go under there like that. So when we tile and everything, it's just going to be like almost like a light that's sort of splashing on the tile. It doesn't shine in your eye. It just looks very warm and mellow. It can be adjusted to times of day, so it comes on like an hour before sunset, shuts off at 1 a.m., you know, and then as the day's time changes happen and sunset moves around, it adjusts automatically based on your time zone and your zip code area. So it's really a really nice system. I like it. I also try to do it in a way that allows me to get back here and work on it, so I can pull them out and try to swap them out even after the cabinets are in and the tile's in. You always kind of want to think, gee, if something burnt out, I don't want to like tile that into the wall where I'll never be able to get to it. So I like having this little area behind here that you can kind of get your finger in and you can work on it. And then, in fact, this is actually going to have a little panel down here. I'll show you eventually. And all these cables will be in that little panel area, which makes it easy to get to and swap out lights and do all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm working on, is lighting. One other little issue that I ran into, let me turn the real lights on here, the big lights. I am putting up a pot rack. So this is my pot rack that I'm doing. We used to have in our old house, we used to have a huge pot rack in the middle of the island. And the problem with that is when you wash pots, it ends up dripping down onto the island, so you have to completely dry stuff. So now our pot rack is going to be located right above where the sink will be. But unfortunately, when I put this in, I didn't have anything to screw into on this corner. So I got two of the corners in, and then that corner I couldn't screw into. And so what I had to do was cut open a piece of the wall, set this down, and put in something to hit this old piece of wood. And one thing I was going to show you here is, before I closed up the walls, I took photos of what it all looked like just before the drywall crew came in. I love doing that because then when you come in here, you know where the studs are supposed to be. Because of the way the IKEA system works, you don't really need to worry too much about, being in the right position for the cabinets, but this particular thing needs the screws to be in an exact position. So I had to actually cut a little piece out, use this great little fine multi-master tool, cut my little piece out, removed my crown molding, and then what I'm gonna, or not the crown molding, insulation. Then I'm just gonna put this back in, mud over it. This is all gonna get tiled, so it doesn't matter how nice a job of drywall I do. And it's gonna work really well. Last thing I wanted to show, I know it's a long video, but I was using some of the scrap wood from when we knocked out the walls. This is the wood that the house is built out of. This is an old house. Got post and beam framing in the house. And this is just a standard stud. And people always talk about what a real 2x4 stud is. So this is an actual 2x4 stud. So these are 2x4. I went ahead before I did the video here. I just kind of counted how many growth rings I got. From here to here, I got about 70. So this is a 70-year-old tree. And the tree probably was much, much, much bigger. But when they cut it down, they milled it into 2x4s. This is a modern 2x4. So you can see it's significantly smaller. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 8 growth rings versus 80 growth rings. This is a very, very fast growing pine that they've obviously bred just to grow 2x4s. This is a piece of oak. I think it's white oak. So, like they said, they don't build it like they used to. This little block of wood weighs about the same amount as this big block of pine. So that's why these houses are kind of amazing, these old houses. I mean, they're built with just amazing material. Part of the problem with these houses is I think they were drunk when they built them because there's not a square angle in the entire building. But anyhow, hope that helps someone. Good luck.